But I've never really been like brought up into like a household that's like in nature every day. Like that's more been my escape from everything.
Because you like physical things, you testing your body, and
Yeah.
nature's a cool way to do that.
Yeah, I'm naturally like a very heavy sweater. In school, I hated doing sport because I felt like an outcast. Everyone, when they did sports, they looked good. And when I did sports, I looked like bright red in the face. Like I got like Irish
You
heritage.
just have natural bar rash without even touching beer.
Exactly.
It's just like in the DNA. Mark, the mic is sagging, bro. We've got a sag. Code sag.
Erectile dysfunction of the mic.
Welcome to another episode of Beyond Physical, where we talk about the mental, emotional, social, and at times spiritual benefits of exercise. We believe that exercise is more than movement, and this podcast is our attempt at sharing that message with the world by sharing our own as well as our guests' experiences and knowledge. If you enjoy it, we ask that you please spread the message by leaving a rating and review, or even better, by sharing with a friend. Yeah, welcome, Brode. Thanks for being here. It's good to have you.
Yeah.
We were just chatting about your physical outlets and how you've explored that. I did see that you had a whole bodyboarding life that was pretty big, like provincial bodyboarding.
Yeah.
That's very different to trail.
Yeah.
What was also, it is like a conventional sport, but not really, like as young kids go. How did you end up going down that rabbit hole and pursuing it to the point of being quite competitive as well?
Yeah. I mean, bodyboarding is like a fringe sport. It's like, it's not really done for the look. It's almost like it fits the mold for anyone who wants to, or who feels like an outcast and wants to like be a part of something different. So I kind of fell in love with bodyboarding because I grew up like going to school at Camps Bay. Basically all the schools on the Atlantic seaboard, so we face all the beaches and can see all the swells coming through, and just saw guys naturally surfing and thought like, oh, that's super cool, I want to get into that. And like I was explaining about being a heavy sweater, I enjoyed the water because it just meant I was always cool. Everyone was always having fun. And the competition side of it just naturally came in because one of my cousins was a provincial bodyboarder, and I just wanted to go and join like him on surf trips, and then that evolved, and it lasted like about 5 years.
Okay.
And then running kind of took over.
Okay. Was there much of a gap between the running and that? Was there a period of overlap or?
Yeah, but that probably happened about 6 years ago or so. When my work started to get more serious and I didn't have enough time to surf, and surfing was frustrating me a bit. It was like kind of at a standstill, like I wasn't competing, I wasn't really enjoying surfing much, and then running came in and it was like a completely new world.
What were you doing for work at the time? Because this must have been, was this pre-Southyeaster?
It was roughly the same time.
Okay.
So it was as the bakery was starting to take shape, I needed it, like I had to commit more time to it. So I just needed something that was like an easy hour. I could go out, I could come back feeling like fulfilled and a bit more like ready to tackle tasks. And running, weirdly enough, just fit that mold so perfectly. And this was trail running. This was like going out my door, up onto the mountain, and running for an hour or two and coming back. Yeah, it was like the perfect kind of escape, I guess.
Running is really cool like that because you can dose it very conveniently.
Mm.
and there's little equipment required, relatively at least, compared to other sports.
Mm.
So if you do have a busy schedule, it's such an amazing tool to keep active with. And if you leave your phone or you whatever, it's a great way to sort of clear the head and go and do something to, yeah, just be doing something else for a while and have a bit of an escape.
Yeah.
Um, so from what I know, there was a friend of yours who was selling stuff on the side of the road, and
Rob.
yeah, and then you guys, Southyeaster is your brainchild together.
Yeah.
Um, what was the sort of like, because starting a brick and mortar thing is a little bit different to a tech based thing where I think there's a lot more inertia to actually getting started.
Mm.
Um, how long was it from like between you two being like, we should do this thing together to actually executing and it, selling your first
Yeah.
croissant?
So Rob wasn't actually my or isn't my business partner.
Okay.
Um, my sister's actually my business partner.
Yes, I saw that.
Um, and at that time, she was helping me behind the scenes, just doing like the admin side, sending out WhatsApp messages, letting people know what's happening, taking orders, keeping like a tally of sales, and Rob was just selling vegetables on the side of the road in on Valley Road in Hout Bay, and he wanted my bread so that it could just be like a kind of full experience for a customer. They could get their bread, they could get their groceries, they could also get eggs, and it was just a fun project for him. And many people don't actually know this, but someone who Rob went to school with was actually going to be the third partner of the bakery. But he kind of decided last minute it wasn't right and he wanted to do his own thing. So Southeaster definitely like grew from a very small local community of me and my friends, and I think that's like you said, it's like one of those things that really helps establish a business. Um, and it's harder to do that online or with tech because you're sometimes working with people across the world. Whereas starting in the valley in Hout Bay, the moment someone gets word that there's like something fun happening just on the side of the road, like they're in on it straight away.
Mm.
So yeah.
And what did it feel like? So, do you guys have a lease or do you own the space?
Currently, we've just got a lease.
Okay. What did it feel like signing the lease?
Very, very scary.
Okay.
I mean, at the time, we were leasing a very small space. We still have the lease on it, but it was 5,000 Rand.
Yo, that's not bad.
And but for us, it was so nerve-wracking signing a lease because now we're like, okay, we need to make that at least
How old were you at that time?
25.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what had you done before that?
I'd just been working in bakeries. I'd been to chef school. I tried my hand at trying to find work overseas, but just struggled with the visas. Obviously on a South African passport, so yeah, foreign countries can be quite difficult when it comes to letting people work there, especially trying to be a baker in France.
Yeah, I think they might have enough of those.
Yeah, apparently not, but
Okay, so it's you and your sister. You've just signed your 5,000 Rand lease. What's the plan? Like, what's the idea? How are you going to get people to buy your things?
um,
Were you already selling things before that? Like,
yeah,
okay.
we had been selling on the side of the road for about 6 months before we signed the lease. And before that, we were selling through like a WhatsApp group, which started with about like 2 or 3 family members and ended with about like at least 40 to 50 contacts and families in Hout Bay, and Camps Bay. Some people even in like Oranjezicht.
Wow.
And this was all just after COVID. And then I think we kind of, okay, well, I can tell you a quick story.
Tell the story.
we we were selling for about 3-4 months at this stage on Valley Road. Rob had grown his little vegetable table to about, well, it was actually like a giant 3 meter long yellow steel shelving unit that someone had spray painted, dropped off on the side of the road, chained to a tree, and it stayed there the whole week. And then on a Saturday morning, we would rock up with the pastries, we'd put them onto the shelf. Rob would put his veggies on, put the eggs on, and we'd literally just sell on the side of the road, like super illegal.
No permit.
No permit. Even like we had shifted it slightly down the road in front of someone else's property, because it was like a blind corner. And the one day we rocked up and there was a queue going down Valley Road before we'd even got in there.
That's wild.
And we were like, oh shit, like this is getting dangerous. Like people were in the road, cars were coming flying around the corner. We were like, someone's gonna get knocked over. Like people would pull up in their car as if it was like a, I don't know, red carpet event, like roll down their windows, start chatting to us from across the road, like 5 cars behind them, and they just like don't care. They just want to talk to us. And then that's when we realized like we need a premises, like we need a physical space. I think we're too big for this little roadside thing.
Cheapers. That's a proper proof of concept. It's like you're
Yeah.
actually forced into opening the shop.
Yeah.
And what were the first? Because how old is it now? How old is Southyeaster?
It's going on 6 years.
Okay. And what was like? Obviously, you had people that knew that you had yummy things to sell and they'd bought it in the past. Was there quite a like a natural transition for them then starting to come to the shop, or were those mainly, were you dropping them off, or how did that work?
So we did quite a clever little pivot where basically the moment we opened the shop, we sent everyone a message about a month before, and we said we're opening up our first store. From the moment we open, we will no longer be offering deliveries. Can you please come and collect your orders? You can still place them, but you'll collect them from the physical shop. And then we had coffee and everything and little add-ons. So our idea was that if someone's going to come and buy bread, they're going to see everything else and they're going to want to buy something else. So it's a great way to like gently push people to purchase more from us, and not and also then to come and sit and chat. And at that stage, all we did was just hang around the cafe. In between, also before this, there was all of the lockdown. So before that point, having a physical space would have been impossible because every 3 months we were getting, told to go back inside. And so navigating that was very simple when our business was like just, invisible almost. But the moment we opened the shop, it suddenly became very real. And our first day, I remember it very clearly. Like all I said was like, one day I just want to have a line going down the road with people queuing for the bakery. And that happened on our first day of opening the shop.
You set the bar too low for yourself.
Yeah. And I can't, like,
That is
there was close to like 100 people in the line just waiting for our little 5 by 5 meter cafe to open.
Jeez, that's incredible. I mean, every time I've been to the shop, there's been a line, not always out the door, but like there's always a pretty hefty queue, which is really cool.
I don't think it's ever going to end, which is kind of like, they call it like God's sense of humor.
You get what you wish for.
Yeah.
But it moves quickly. You don't kind of stand for a long
Mm.
time, which is really cool. And generally, the people that you guys attract are friendly, and sometimes you strike up a conversation with people in the queue. So it doesn't feel um, tedious,
Mm.
which queues often can feel.
Yeah. I mean, I see it from the other side, so I'm always stressing, but
Sure, I can imagine.
that's good to know.
And how did you guys? Obviously, you started lean and small, which was super smart because then it probably cost less. But obviously, if you were doing coffee, I'd imagine you had to buy a coffee machine and you needed special ovens to do your things. And um, how did you like scrape that together? Like, what was funding you at that early point?
um, it was very organic,
Okay,
like a big, um, what do you call it? Like a value for us was do everything organically. So what that meant was like very slow growth. Um, that way there's less risk, like way, way, way less risk.
irony being that on your opening day you had a line out the door all the way down the street.
um, and yeah, the thing is as well that when problems arise, then you're able to tackle them like head on versus having 10 problems happen at the same time because you've grown too quickly. Um, yeah, because I think it just becomes then that once you get used to that, every decision you make it's a very simple way of thinking what you need to achieve with that.
Mm,
Um, so I definitely say like growing organically was our biggest like key takeaway from it.
okay. And something I'm always interested to ask people because I don't know many young people our age that went the culinary route. It's not completely unusual, but there generally is some sort of interest in it in order to pursue that thing.
Mm.
Um, when you obviously the kind of move towards opening the physical store was like a safety thing, and it was kind of necessitated by your sidewalk shop just becoming unsustainable.
Mm.
But the whole idea around going into the industry and selling things on the side of the road and then growing that into an actual shop, and then over time that actual shop growing, was that something, was the idea behind that like you want to build a career in the space because it takes care of you, or was it more like purpose led and you feel like a special connection to baking and people? Like, what was the main driving factor around pursuing this whole world that you're in?
Yeah. Um, I don't think I ever had a plan. Like I think um, I was just curious. Um, I knew Hape and even Cape Town needed like a really good bakery. Like we've got one or two. Um, I used to work for Jason in Greenpoint now. Um, like he's got a great bakery. He's got a great concept, and he told me a lot of, especially about business. There's way too few bakeries I find in Cape Town, so there was a big kind of hole for something. Not necessarily in the sense of like business, but in the sense of that, like it's almost something missing from the community. Um, Bakeries the world over are what I consider like center points of towns. So they're where everyone congregates. And in some cities you have like thousands of bakeries, like Paris. Some cities you only have like a couple, but they always provide the same kind of role.
Mm.
And I think like when we were starting the business and my sister was like, I want to do this with you. Um, the thing that pulled me in was I want to do this to put Hout Bay on the map. Like I want, because I've grown up my whole life in Hout Bay. I'd started running. I'd realized like super obliviously, I was like, oh wow, there's mountains everywhere. Like in Hout Bay, like before when I surfed, it was just like waves, waves, waves.
Mm.
Um, so realizing how much there is to offer there, I thought like it's a throughway, it's a perfect place for a bakery. That's what's always kept me in it, I think. There's been lots of times where I've thought like, oh, I don't want to get deeper into this because what if I want to go travel, or what if I want to go still work overseas? But again, growing like organically, it's allowed me to keep reassessing and reinvesting myself into it. And I think that's led to me being pretty happy now, where as I mean, there's been points where I've come close to like burnout, but I think if we had grown too quickly, I would have definitely never made it till now. Like,
What did those moments feel like? Like, how does burnout manifest for you, or being close to burnout?
I think it manifests quite slowly. Like it creeps in very, very slowly and you don't realize it, but it's just when you're making every excuse to put more time into work and not looking after yourself, like not making time to see friends and keep those connections like deep, um, looking after your health. You know, sometimes you can like mask it with um, different things, but I think at the end of the day, like just being able to have a balance of work and going home and keeping the house neat or going out and exploring, like as long as you have time to do all of those things, I think you in the green zone.
Mm.
But it's very easy to just get caught up in growth and performance and forgetting that there's like a human inside of you, like
Mm.
a soul that
It's
needs.
interesting. It's fascinating that you obviously had spent time in bakeries prior
Mm,
before opening this one, so you were fully aware of what it took, at least um, in practice, from being in those environments. And opening a bakery is by no means the most conducive to like balance.
mm,
It's early mornings, it's like detail and refining, and I'd imagine it's not that easy to teach people how to do that so that you can reclaim a little bit of your own time.
mm,
um, and you value balance in your definition of that. So, and it seems like you've gotten it right, because you still make a lot of time to be competitive on the trails, which also takes a lot of time.
mm.
And that's, that's a difficult thing to do. How how do you manage to pour into the cup of Southyeaster and still make time to be competitive in something as time consuming as trail running? Because you're also not doing like super punchy short things. Like, I know you like the 35 UTCT, right? I don't
Mm.
know right now if you're still there, but that's not a distance that you're doing like 3 hours a week of running. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
it requires quite a bit of
yeah,
effort. So how are you managing to keep your balance? Because
yeah.
you have a business, it's difficult to do that.
I mean, you'll probably get some of the points I make because you're in a pretty similar space, I think.
Yeah, I've dialed back the hard training as of like 6 to 8 weeks ago intentionally, because I'm reprioritizing.
Mm.
But it's still central to my life. Like, I train every day. I
Yeah,
spend time in the mountains. I must do that. It's like,
yeah.
I love it. So, but yeah, I want to hear your input on how you do it.
I think it's pretty similar. I think like I've realized that I can't always prioritize running, same as I can't always prioritize the bakery. Um, and there's definitely seasons in the year that one can take preference, but sometimes they do overlap. Um, I mean, I think I think it has meant that I've had to create structure in the business. Um, and maybe a lot of small businesses, you don't need a huge amount of structure because you're always in it.
Mm.
But if you want to do something outside of it, you do need to create something to just allow you to step away. I mean, like any great financial advisor will tell you, like if you're in the business every day, then that business isn't sustainable.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I kind of like that because that statement drives me to make structure and see if it works and see, can I do 10 races this year and can I do the training for them and can I still be um, valuable in the business, but also like valuable to the business, like doing stuff that makes the business run smoother, um, improves quality of life for staff, um, and in no way like exploit anything. Like I don't want to run more if that means I'm exploiting someone's life.
Mm.
Um, so it's a very hard, like narrow line of too much sometimes. But I think it's fine to like sometimes step over it as long as you know that you're doing that. Like you
Mm.
know that you're putting in a bit more time into running, even though it might strain the business. Because then you can be open and honest and um, pivot if you need to. Like um, a big thing we're dealing with at the moment in our bakery is communication and how that affects everyone.
Internally within the business and the
Yeah,
team.
yeah.
How did you identify that as a problem or a challenge?
Um, it's funny because it's kind of like I think of communication as being the oil in like an engine, and everything's working, everything's there doing its part. There's the big cogs, there's the small cogs, there's the drive chain, but if there's no oil, things grind.
Mm.
And they grind because they're not working together. So communication just comes down to that. And it's like the same, you can apply it everywhere in life, like your relationships, your family. Um, so having good communication for me in my personal life as well as at the bakery has become quite prioritized now, funny enough.
Mm.
And I've always wanted to understand it, but now I think a great thing of having your own business is you're forced into understanding things.
Yeah, that's true.
Otherwise, you just doesn't work.
Mm. The communication thing is such a great sort of horizontal principle for life.
Mm.
I find that you can take the exact same circumstances, like same outcome, same lead up to that situation happening, same whatever, and you have like parallel universe A and B, and in the one you communicated proactively throughout, and in the other you didn't.
Mm.
And the perceived, like, your perception of that whole situation completely changes,
Mm.
where the one would actually feel pretty manageable and the other one would feel awful and like cause a lot of friction and a lot of arguments and whatnot. And you've nothing has changed. All you've done is like added your oil to the engine, where now things, people are expecting things according to how you've managed expectation, and they've given you feedback to manage your expectation, and it's just so much better.
Yeah.
And it transcends business completely.
Yeah.
Like in relationships, as you said, it's also such a game changer when there's open
Mm.
comms. I think entrepreneurship has really taught me that. I never got it, so like I didn't really get it before.
Mm.
And I played a lot of team sports, so it's quite interesting that I never picked up on it, because comms was the number one thing.
Yeah.
Communication the whole time. Like that's.
Yeah.
I even used an analogy with my team at Horizon once, using rugby and sport and stuff. was like, man, that sport, how come I didn't take the lesson away then? But then from Horizon, borrowing that and applying it to my relationships, I found that they've improved as well.
Yeah.
Not because anything has fundamentally changed, but we just talk
Yeah.
clearer. And I think proactivity in communication is huge.
Yeah.
Like not waiting for like,
Yeah. Yeah.
know,
Definitely.
it's like if you get a little inkling to share the thing, probably do that,
Mm.
because yeah, it is really the oil. It lubricates things so nicely.
Yeah.
How do you keep your personal life intact with where you're at with the business and your competitiveness in running? How does that fit in?
It's quite a crucial part. I think so. Recently, I've started seeing someone, and we've got really incredible communication. That was like something that almost, it didn't take any work. It just like clicked straight away. Communicating is a huge part of my relationship with Chloe. And I think it was funny because one of the things when I initially asked Chloe out, um, I was I was wondering, like, umming and ahhing, should I do this? Should I like, what, am I hesitating? Should I wait a little bit? And my one friend, um, Nick Murphy, he's kind of part of Open Fuel. I phoned him, and he always gives me great advice. He's very like to the point, and he was like, "Just say it. Like, just say what's on your heart. Like, like get it off your chest." And um, I think it's true what you said. Like, if you get this feeling that you need to speak about something, just speak about it. The more you communicate, the more you realize that these stories that we create in our heads about situations between us and another person are mostly us creating something that's not real. And the more you communicate, the more you realize how, just by being proactive, just by opening up to that person constantly, you're then just way lighter. So when you speak to one another, when you deal with things, even at work, when you're speaking to someone who you're working with constantly, the relationship between you and that person can become so great, and fluid, because you just learn to understand how that person's mind works. And the moment you see them, the moment you see them in a bad space or something, you can help by just asking them a certain question or something. Don't have to get deep into whatever's going wrong, but just, and you only know that when you're constantly communicating with someone. But when you're not, and someone's feeling down, sometimes you create this scenario that you're the problem, and then you start to fight with that person. So I think like it's a great way. It makes everything in life that much easier. Like, just being open to talk, and there is an art to communication though.
It's also very subjective.
Yeah.
Some people have. I think also understanding that fundamentally, if you know that one of your friends is particularly direct and curt, and just being like, that's how Brode communicates. Like he's not like rude or trying to he's not upset. That's just how he is,
Yeah.
That's also super important. Some people struggle to make that distinction of like, that's how this person communicates, and maybe someone else, I've got close people in my life who are sometimes not so direct.
Yeah.
And you kind of just, you start to learn to interpret like very roundabout ways of saying things, and you like, okay, I can in my head sort of cut through that and understand that, and you sort of have to like repeat that back to them. Is this what you mean? Okay, cool, yeah, that makes sense. Um, where yeah, I think as you said, spending the time with the person, you start to pick up on that.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it's a lifelong practice communicating effectively,
Yeah.
because it it can definitely make or break any sort of relationship. So I'm assuming then that's the sort of key pillar around your
Mm.
personal life, is making sure to keep open comms, whether it's friends, romantic relationship, family. That's sort of the foundation.
Yeah, I think it definitely is now. And I don't know if you feel the same, but the moment you speak to someone and they're unwilling to talk to you, or they come across as being harsh, or they don't want to listen, like those things for me are pretty key things in like, now, do I want to keep interacting with this person because this is draining? Or do I want to try maybe set a boundary and be like, this isn't working for me? Um, and also being able to do that really well, which I think, again, like, it's communicating like
Mm,
with someone, setting a boundary is so much down to how you set it.
mm,
Not
yeah.
Sometimes you set the boundary completely wrong, and then it just makes things way worse.
Yeah, I'm very big on the whole boundary thing and energy spend and time spent, almost to the point of sometimes being borderline antisocial, where I'm like, I
Mm.
have like a core set of values, and um, I really believe that having alignment with those specific values in terms of the people I surround myself with are key to having an amazing, fulfilled, you know, existence. And so I'm very happy saying no a lot
Yeah.
and not going to things, and sometimes that can come across as a bit like high walls or whatever.
Mm.
But it's made my life so much better, and I think boundaries are so much more about the person setting the boundary, so you, than it is about there being anything wrong or
Yeah.
whatever with the other person. It's just like you have certain things that you want in your life, and maybe um, somebody has something else, and like that just doesn't gel, and that's completely fine.
Yeah.
And like you said, like for me, I certainly feel what you said you feel around like certain interactions feeling draining. I'm like, no, I'm not spending my time on that. Like, I love the things that I love. I throw myself into them wholeheartedly and fully, and I want every drop of energy I can possibly have for those things.
Yeah.
I don't really want to bring things into my circle that detract from that. Sometimes I've actually thought like I might be denying myself beautiful relationships and experiences. Um, but I think I've had more or less enough time to know that, like, okay, these are certain things to look out for. And then, okay, based off of that, maybe I should do X, Y, and Z. But yeah, I've definitely found two things like contributed a lot to that, those walls becoming a lot more rigid, which was the passing of my mom, because it made my perception of time value go through the roof.
Mm.
Whereas like you have loved ones, you have limited time with them.
Mm.
I'm not fucking wasting that with like, and it's not like, it sounds rude, but I'm not wasting that on someone that I don't love
Yeah.
deeply, or I have like, because for me, relationships are deeply spiritual,
Mm.
like friendships, romantic relationships, your family. It just feels
Yeah.
different. And if I don't necessarily have that, where there's like a sort of synergy, for lack of a better word, I'm like, okay, well, I might have this friendship out of convenience, but it's not necessarily going to be something that, and when I say convenience, I mean our lives just perfectly align. Like we
Yeah.
always go to the same coffee shop, we like go to the
Mm.
same sports team or whatever. And then the second thing outside of like losing like indefinitely the time with that loved one, I'd say is going into a career that I'm deeply passionate about, where I
Mm.
found like it is quite energy intensive. So I want to be I want to pour into those relationship cups because like I love my team.
Yeah.
Like they are a second family.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's kept me much happier and made me far more pleasant to be around for the people that I care about.
Mm.
Which I think is super important, but it does sometimes feel a bit like, yo, I don't know if I'm too hectic with it. Um, but no, I think the boundaries thing is big. It's very big for quality of life.
I mean, like a really good analogy for this, especially to do with energy and sometimes feeling like you don't know if you should be spending more time with certain people or less time with certain people. And you obviously have your like gut feeling of what you want to do. But if you imagine like a waterfall, right? And that waterfall is like energy of the universe, like it's life force, it's things that are all around us, in material objects. And you've got a set amount of time, and you've got certain limitations being human. Would you want to, if you were, let's say, a plant that required water, would you want to be directly under the waterfall where all of this energy is flowing through you? Or would you want to be standing next to the waterfall and receiving just little drops from it? And that can simply just be by making one choice that either means that you are pouring energy into yourself, or another choice that means that that energy is going into someone else and you're standing by and just watching it.
Mm.
I mean, for me personally, realizing that I want to be underneath that waterfall, I want to be in line with my energy, and it doesn't mean it doesn't mean getting access to having infinite energy. It means more that you understand how to spend your energy, because it is limited. So those things that drain you, because you might feel like doing more things is going to create more energy, but actually you just end up spending more of it. You're just giving it away to other people who don't necessarily need it. So yeah, I think like it sounds like you have a pretty good idea of how you want to spend your time, and I think that's important. Like,
It's interesting. You can often get more energy from removing stuff than
yeah,
adding more things.
yeah. I think it's just about positioning yourself, like just putting yourself in a position where everything is feeding into you. It's not a selfish thing. It's not like it means that you then have energy to give.
Mm.
It's the other way around.
Yeah, I think it's really important to have that perspective because if you the best thing that you can do for your loved ones is to be the best version of yourself
Mm.
because you show up more, you're more present, etc., etc. Whereas if you're like quite disassociated because you're misaligned with like your career, which is very valid, and a lot of people have that, that can be felt. Like I
Mm.
remember how I felt prior to Horizon. There was no alignment. It was like I wasn't working nearly as much and I was financially much more comfortable and secure. But as a human being, I was far less engaged and enthusiastic and excited about life.
Mm.
And that was actually a weird manifestation of removing something because this excitement around like exercise was always there. It was just sort of suppressed
Yeah,
underneath this other career path that I was on because I thought like that's the societal way,
yeah.
got to do that thing. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm also interested to hear from you from an energy perspective, more on energy.
Mm.
How do you feel that um, it like exercise plays a role in your life from an energy point of view? Like,
Yeah.
is it something that energizes you? Like, what do you feel you get from it? Because it sounds like you've always done it to some degree,
Mm.
like competitively, like you like to push,
Yeah.
and that takes energy. But
Yeah. it's the clearer I've gotten in my head about life, and that's obviously meant like taking away certain substances or things like, you know, I still love to drink like a glass of wine or have a beer with friends, but I don't do it nearly as much as I used to. And like becoming clearer on things made me realize how much I value exercise. Um, but there's also this feeling I get when I'm in really good shape. I'm running on the mountains in a race or with friends or something, and you suddenly enter that space where it feels like effortless when you're running. And it's weird because it comes at a time when you think it wouldn't. Like it's like halfway through a race, everything's burning, your lungs are burning, your legs on fire, and then suddenly 1 kilometer goes by in the split second, and it feels incredible. And that for me, I value. It's funny. I value my lungs a lot.
Mm.
Um, and weirdly enough, I found this out that linked to kind of astrology and stuff like that. My time of year when I was born is linked to your lungs.
Interesting. What time of year is that?
So I was born in June.
Okay.
And one of your main parts of your body is your lungs. And when you feel restricted in life, it usually will put pressure on that area.
Interesting.
So for me, my now kind of not goal but pursuit is to try and see how in touch I can get with that. So like it will most likely link to fitness a lot, but getting as fit as I can, because that is truly when I do feel incredible. There is a balance. You can't go too far as well. But I think I definitely know that the cleaner my lungs are, the like fit I am, like the better I just feel in general. My mood, my energy.
How conscious are you of the way that you breathe when you run? Like, do you take note of nasal breathing versus mouth breathing, things like that?
Yeah, I went through a period where I tried to control my breathing, and that led to me getting a cyst in my throat.
Oh shit! What the fuck? That's hectic, bro. I'm gonna
So
stop doing that because I sometimes try to do that as well. Hectic.
I've realized that control looks different sometimes, and like
Was the cyst because of your the trachea? No, like
yeah, it was like kind of it was basically adjacent to my thyroid,
okay.
but it
Flip,
almost
that's
looked
hectic.
like a second Adam's apple.
Mm,
Um, and there was nothing to worry about. It was just like a bunch of like excess fluid stuck in my muscle.
okay.
Um, but it just made me realize that like your breath is a natural thing,
Mm,
and forcing it is unnatural. Like
okay.
um, rather just kind of getting used to and falling in love with that feeling of breathing deeply and softly sometimes, and noticing it but never like forcing it.
Yeah, that awareness
Yeah,
that already adds so much value. I find
yeah,
is
yeah.
just having an awareness around your breath.
It's way more powerful, I think. um
Have you ever done breath work?
no, I would love to though.
We had a team building once at One Flow, and it was this guided sauna journey thing.
Mm,
And I didn't know we were doing breath work, and I'd never done breath work before. And it was psychedelic. It was
mm.
bizarre. Like I was like, what is going on? This is really, really interesting. It actually feels really good, but it was kind of scary. Um, but it might be something interesting if it doesn't feel heavily controlled. It feels more like rhythmic, and I'm sure there
Mm.
are different kinds of breath work.
Yeah, I mean, like that's how I feel when I run.
Mm,
Like I love that rhythmic feeling of running. Um, it's kind of what I'm in pursuit of. Not necessarily getting fit, not necessarily being the best runner, but just feeling. Yeah, it kind of takes you to that primal state. Running like what we would have done hundreds of years ago, like
Persistence hunting.
Yeah, I don't know, just something about that feeling is so addictive.
And for you in a race environment, what is the highlight or what feels better for you, hitting a course PR or podiuming? Obviously, the two are not mutually exclusive, but
Mm.
yeah. So, like, what thing for you? I know it is obviously about flow state and
Yeah, yeah,
feeling
yeah.
rhythmic, but between those two things, do either of them sort of fulfill you more, or like how do you sort of look at a race afterwards
I
and take
think,
value from it from like an achievement, quote unquote, point of view? What do you feel better
yeah,
about?
I think more to do with like generally feeling good, um, just racing against myself.
So PRs are more important for you than podiuming.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to find if I feel like after the race I've run really, really hard and I've tapped into that kind of other energy source that's like just, being so absorbed in the moment, um, then I'm quite happy. But if I finish a race, like there's no PRs, maybe I podiumed, it's kind of less fulfilling.
Mm.
Like there's a sense of like, cool, I won, or I'm on the top step, but it's not the same feeling. Um, it definitely doesn't sustain me. Like I think more sustaining is like knowing you've done a huge amount of work and then seeing that pay off. Um, yeah,
So you'd say then that your um like the how you look at a successful day out is more internally determined than like how you stood comparatively to the other people in the field.
yeah. It's like some races. Sometimes like I'll turn my watch off, like put it onto like a blank screen. Especially if I'm getting too in my head about like who's in the race, what's the fastest time on the course. Um, and then I find run a lot better because I'll find someone to run with, or I'll find a pace I'm happy with, and I'll just push on that.
Okay.
Um, yeah, the moment try and get too like analytical
Mm.
about it, it just pulls me out of that feeling. And then races tend to feel like kind of like, uh for lack of a better word, like just colorless. Like,
Mm.
yeah.
That's so interesting because personally, I love the like meticulous like tracking of the things. But I think also to be honest, when you are at your level versus my level, the whole flow thing is a lot more important because
Yeah.
you're at the like 0.01% of, and in order to perform your absolute best, and I know like you said it's about how you feel, but if you are like wanting to compete, you need to like remove any sort of like anything that's going to disturb you from being in like an optimal state of mind. Whereas me like checking and seeing where I'm at, like it's not, I think that's kind of more helpful for people that are more, if they are interested in like the performance element,
Mm.
more middle of the road. Like it would be interesting to chat to other higher level runners around
Yeah.
how much, how measured they are and things like that. I know you'd go in with a plan and obviously a nutrition strategy and things like that, and you'd adhere to it pretty, in a pretty rigid
Mm.
or disciplined manner. But even then, like Courtney DeWalter, she eats like pizza and like random things in her runs. I'm sure it's also like measured to a degree. Um,
I don't think so.
yeah, she seems so nonchalant, so she just cooks everyone.
Yeah.
Only in trail running.
I think she doesn't.
Don't get that in
I
other
mean,
sport.
she coaches herself as well, so
That for me is the most remarkable thing.
yeah.
And I think some videos I watched when she had like, at least when I had discovered her online for myself. I saw that at the time. I think she was also teaching a little bit still, like she was still doing other stuff, which is wild. Do you have a favorite race or a favorite course?
Yeah, I do. I've raced it twice now. It's in Switzerland. It's a famous mountain running race called Zinal. So you run from the town of Sierre up a valley, and you finish in an alpine town called Zinal. And you basically run along the one ridge line almost. But the race is super, super runnable. So there's no technical trail. You go from about 600 meters to about 2,500 meters in one go. So you do like a double VK, and the whole course profile just like it starts at its steepest and then it slowly gradually gets less steep until eventually you have a short like 3K downhill to the finish. But it attracts like the best mountain trail, even road runners like in the world. Last year there was a guy who was a triathlete who came third or fourth. I just love the race because it just is like a constant push for me, like to get better. Every year, like I run a bit quicker, but then at the same time realize what I need to get to like the next step. And it's a nice race to just use as a benchmark because I always know after that race where I stand, how fit I'm. Um, yeah, last year I got to run with a few really good runners in the race, and like just running next to them and seeing how they tactically move. It's really, really like aspirational. Like it's like you realize how far above us in terms of level they are. They take things a lot more seriously, but at the same time, I think it's so cool to learn in that kind of space.
You say that event pushes you to be better, and you obviously also spoke about feeling good in certain runs, like being able to get past that like moment of, it's difficult and you push through that and you like a K goes by. In endurance sport, it's inevitable that you're going to suffer a little bit. Do you um do you enjoy the discomfort, or is it something that you tolerate in order to experience that like flow, nice feeling that you enjoy?
I think I don't know if they're necessarily the same thing. I feel like if I'm in a good headspace and I get into a race and I suffer, I can use it as fuel. But if I'm in a bad headspace and I get into a race and I suffer, it can go the other way. And I feel like I just want to give up straight away. I think like a really important thing I've realized is knowing where your fitness is at and having like a really good idea of what you want to achieve in that race, and not being like, I'm gonna run a 2:10 marathon when you know you've only done the training for a 3-hour marathon. Like, yeah. For me, that's the way it's always worked. Like the moment I overshoot my goal, I'll have a horrible race.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good advice actually. But from a sort of, I guess then around the discomfort thing, it can go either way. Like either it's something that works for you or
Yeah.
not.
I think the best runners in the world use it as fuel. Like they use that feeling to push themselves. Some people like even they get into like a different headspace completely. Like they become an alter ego. I've read a book about that as well. How certain famous actors and musicians and athletes who have used alter egos to perform better.
What's the book called?
The alter ego effect.
Okay.
I
Who's it by?
can't remember the author.
Sounds really interesting.
It's a good read. It just gives you a different perspective. Like it can work for some people, it might not work for others. But you create essentially you create a fictitious character who you act as.
Mm.
That way you don't attach to anything that happens. So if you lose, if you win, it's not you, it's that person.
Mm.
And that way you can kind of take the pressure off of yourself. And then when you do achieve it, you realize, oh, I'm actually capable of that.
Who were some of the people in that book that you were surprised to see in there? Where you were like, whoa, I didn't know this person would do that.
Beyonce,
Really?
yeah. So she's got an alter ego called it's one of her album covers. I can't remember
Mark
the
would know. He knows Beyonce. Talk to him. Beyonce's sick, bro. Why are you reacting like that? Aren't you on that Halo? Aren't you on that? I'm not connected to your Wi-Fi. I can't start pulling up random album names.
It's you'll see on one of her album covers she titled the album That Person, and whenever Beyonce stepped on the stage, she was this person. That was who people saw, not Beyonce.
Who else? Tell me another person. So interesting, bro.
I haven't finished the book yet, but there's a few famous tennis players.
Sport makes a lot of sense for me.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, what some people would do, like a very common one, was they would imagine they were a superhero. So they would imagine they were Superman or the Hulk, and they would
That's crazy, bro.
they would think, how would that person act? You know, what would, when they rocked up to the start of a race, you know, how, if I was Usain Bolt, how would he act?
Mm.
And they channel that energy. And that then helped them win races, win competitions, win huge tennis tournaments.
That's a skill. That is. I don't think that's something that a lot of people can do.
Do you know what's good about it is that you learn how to judge, or you often will judge yourself and create this box that you fit into, and then this box that this character fits into, which you think isn't you, but you can very easily act that way, which means you could very easily take some of those characteristics and implement them into your life. And that's what a lot of characters and people ended up doing, funny enough, was that they would implement these things into their life. Someone who struggled to like speak in giant conferences in front of thousands of people would channel someone who they thought was really good at that, and immediately this person would come on stage. There'd be this huge presence, and then afterwards someone would say, wow, you're incredible, how did you do that? And they'd be like, well, it wasn't me, it was someone else. Be like, no, it was you.
Like, I saw you there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until their mind eventually consciously goes, I can do this. So it's a really cool way of overcoming certain challenges, I think.
That's very smart.
Yeah.
Do you feel a mindset switch, like a significant mindset switch when it's race day for you? Or like when you're standing on the start line?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
to the point where you would be an alter ego? Like, have you got an alter ego?
Yes, Sasha Fierce.
Okay, Sasha.
Yeah.
Okay.
I I sometimes imagine I'm my cousin Luke.
Really? Cheapers. That is a huge compliment to cousin Luke. Shout out Luke.
He was just very, when we used to bodyboard together, he was very, very competitive. And he would almost become this like, you know, aggressive kind of like aggressive kind of, almost like a bear. Like he would like unleash this kind of rage when he surfed, and he was at one stage the SA champ for bodyboarding. So like, you know, he achieved a lot by acting this way, and it wasn't how he was when you met him. You know, he was a different person. So I used to try and channel that, and you know, think how if it's funny, like sometimes in a race I'd be like, come on Luke, come on Luke. Um and it kind of worked for me a little bit. Then after a while I realized actually I'm enjoying this one aspect of racing, which is like having fun and being in the space where I'm really grateful for everything that's happening around me. And sometimes that character for me would just be a bit too much.
Yeah, it would sort of become all consuming, and that would be the
Yeah.
focus of it instead of the other elements that you enjoy.
Yeah. But then for some races, when I wanted to be competitive, it was great.
I think what that also speaks to is how it requires a different kind of person to show up in a competitive space to the kind of person that just shows up in regular day-to-day life. My reference point is oftentimes rugby, because I spent a big part of my life playing that sport. But 9 out of 10 of my rugby friends, just statistically, they're probably more than that, but they are lovely, lovely human beings. On the rugby field, they're very different. Very, very different. Like, it's actually quite remarkable the level of aggression that comes out in that environment, myself included. Like, I'm like a very jolly, like, chill dude, but not when there's an oval ball involved. So it's like, it's totally different. But I don't think I think when you're like, of course, in South Africa's context, rugby players are kind of superstars, but superstars like Beyonce, like, I feel like there is a different level of like, okay, I probably need to like name this person and like totally switch into a different personality maybe. But with sport, I'm sure there are sportsmen in that thing, but I feel like because of, yeah, like you can sort of switch into a different person and come back out, but it's not like a named alter
Yeah.
ego.
So yes, a few people would imagine they were like a lion, because of the characteristics of it being brave and fearless, and you know, this thing that was the ruler of the animal kingdom, and that way they would just imagine when they were running races they would be a lion chasing down its prey. A lot of people do that, I think, subconsciously as well.
It's an interesting perception of the lion. I feel like my perception of it's a little bit contrarian, because I interpret it as an animal or whatever. If it's a person, like, they're very comfortable and established, and they have a lot of opportunity at their fingertips, and they can decide to they can decide to spend their energy how they want to, and they can nap a lot. And that's what I've always seen the lion. I'm like, they're so chilled out, they're napping, and like, you know, obviously hunting time is different,
Yeah.
but I don't know, I always just view them as these, like, the world is their oyster. Like, they're so, whereas other animals are often like quite, they're sometimes a bit stressed out, you know.
Yeah.
Because the chilled lion might be around the corner and then not chilled anymore. But I actually wanted to ask you, we've obviously chatted a lot about life and balancing, and you know, you excel in a number of areas in your life, and um, it's it's a difficult thing to do, but you know, were someone to take one thing from our conversation and maybe a guiding principle that you've used to just maintain a balanced life that keeps you fulfilled and excelling in the things that you choose to put energy into, like, what might you distill that into? Like, what is that principle?
Find a friend like Mike Obery.
Shout out. He's also exceptional.
Yeah, no. I think I've got a lot of amazing friends, and like the saying goes, like people in my corner. And I wouldn't say I've necessarily chosen them. I feel like more they've chosen me. And I think that was doing a lot of work on myself to be truly happy with myself. Um, I think that way it's like the saying, like I think I attracted them rather than chasing them. A lot of my life I spent chasing things, um, chasing the scene, chasing like things that were short short term goals and like short lived happiness. Um, and I think just focusing on what I'm doing right now, not doing too much, not like one thing at a time, and being gentle with myself and not like beating myself up if something doesn't happen the way it should, or rather like I'm very I look at life a lot and think like, wow, this is incredible the way things unfold.
Mm.
Um, so I think just being slow enough that you can be present, and for me, a big blessing in life is presence. Like
Mm.
when you understand how that works, it makes everything connect. Um, it's easier to say that living in Harpe than it is in town.
We get some present from time to time. I'm very present with the taxis hooting. I'm very aware and present of the unique honks that there are.
Yeah,
Presence is cool. It makes life fuller.
yeah.
It makes every experience richer
Mm,
because you're fully in that.
mm.
I think that is a key thread that would make everything better.
Yeah, I think anything that can make you more present is probably the advice I'd give. Like, trying to incorporate as many things as you can to make you understand you're here and not somewhere else, and not worrying about the future or the past.
You also seem like a very curious person. You said that Southyeaster was born out of like the main thing you said was curiosity, and I think curiosity and presence are very closely related.
Mm,
In order to feed your curiosity, you've got to be fully present in the thing.
mm.
Because then you start noticing these weird things. You're like, oh, that's cool. I didn't know that's how that worked.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, and I think presence as well, it ties into curiosity because curiosity isn't about wanting to know how things work. It's just about being like able to watch them and see how they work. Practicing like no judgment of anything. Like the moment you try, I think humans, the moment we try and understand things more and more, the more we break them up, the less we understand about them. Like seeing stuff as it is as being perfect and beautiful and all that is, for me, what makes life really incredible. Um, Obviously, we all love stats and love to know like how someone, when they ran a certain race, what pace they're running at and those sorts of things. But not to get too caught up in it. Like, you can joke with yourself. I think like I was saying earlier, like every wise man knows that God has a sense of humor.
Mm.
Like you can't be too serious about things.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I like that one a lot. Life is serious enough as it is.
Yeah.
So you may as well approach it with a bit of
Yeah.
yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much, Brode. Everyone, be more curious.
And present.
Try and be present. I certainly will. So, yeah, I really appreciate your time. And I am going to, sorry, Mark, sorry, Miss Cindy, absolutely smash that thing into my mouth hole. That I don't know if it's a if it's a croissant or what it is, but that, that's that is all mine. Thank you. Thank you for bringing it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to a croissant with some cheese on it the next time I go and visit Southyeaster. That's my go-to when I visit.
When's your next race?
There's no next. Actually, there is a next race in Canada, Cape Town Marathon, but I haven't decided on my approach yet.
Okay.
I think I'm taking a Brode approach, like not Brode level performance, but Brode approach, in that I'm just going to be present. I'm just going to enjoy it. I'm super competitive and very measured, but always with myself. So this year, like I've said, I reprioritized. Horizon is my vessel for that, and exercise is going to be my vessel for play. So I'm just going to see how it goes. It's been difficult. I almost messaged my coach Brendan to say, like, what are we thinking of a 16-week build? Is like a PR on the no, sleep on it. Woke up the next morning and I didn't want to do it. So I'm glad I resisted the urge.
It's a very wise advice.
Yeah, so Cape Town Marathon is the next one. I enjoy trail more, but I haven't committed to any trail events yet for this year. But I'll see. I'm going to take it as it comes, and I'm really enjoying the less dialed in, kind of structured way of doing things. I feel again a little bit like I did in high school with exercise, where it's just a good push, and I struggle a little bit, put on some cool music, whether it's running or lifting or whatever, and just spend that time with myself for a bit, and then continue to do the other things. And you?
I've got a little 5K speed.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah. The Hocker Run Fest. Decided to enter the 5K and just try and get a little time trial in.
That's gnarly, bro. There's nothing worse than that. There's nothing worse than that. That is so hectic. What is your 5K at the moment?
16:44.
What the gross, bro? That is. Do you hear that revolting number? That is. Oh.
But that was, I think I said that like 3 years ago. So
Okay.
I'm in need of a new time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who do you work with? Who coaches you?
So I used to be with Aaron at Flat Rock. And recently I've left Aaron after 4 years. And I'm now being coached by Robbie Simpson.
What was the reasoning for your switching? Just wanted to learn from a different
Yeah.
teacher.
Yeah. Get some new stimulus. Robbie's doing a lot of the races I want to do. We're both going to be racing Broken Arrow in America in June. So, yeah, I just wanted to. Robbie's got a background as a really accomplished pro runner, so learning some stuff from him will be pretty cool.
I think it's really valuable to change coaches. I'm pretty committed to Brendan, but I think just as a practice, it's actually quite a normal thing in a different context. But amongst some of the personal training clients at Horizon, they'll often for a certain thing that a client would want to work on for a few months, they'd say, okay, go and see Brode for a bit, do that, and then you can come back and whatever. Because at the end of the day, the coach client relationship is an education when done well. I think that's the greatest benefit you have with a coach, is you're getting educated, and it's amazing to have different perspectives. And there is a very different perspective from a coach that has done precisely the things that you're interested in doing, to someone who is an amazing coach for whatever their specific thing is. So I think it'll be cool to see how you respond to the change. How long have you been with your new coach now?
Only about a month.
Okay, early days.
Yeah, and I'm really grateful for Aaron. He's a really incredible coach. he instilled in me a lot of really great like aspects and fundamental kind of rules of running and how to approach almost everything. Yeah, I think like I'm gonna miss that about him, but at the same time, Robbie's quite similar, but he maybe just has a bit more experience with physically racing some of the races that I'm looking at. So
Is he the Scottish guy?
yes,
Isn't his name like Fat Boy or
Pat
something?
Simpson.
Oh, Fat Simpson.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've seen him on Instagram. Yeah, he's a savage. He's proper, like,
yeah,
that's really cool.
yeah.
Nice. So when is the 5K?
On the 31st of Jan,
Okay.
2 weeks time.
And how have you approached that? Did you do any sort of like, were you just doing like come as you are vibe, or did you do like a tape or like a mini build, or like how did you?
We done a couple of speed sessions, just trying to get the body used to just like keeping the pace fast, but also being able to utilize that pace as like not running too fast that I'm just gonna blow up, and not running too slow that I'm not gonna tap into that kind of like space that I can. Yeah, I think running a 5K is 2Ks of warming up and 3Ks of hell.
Yeah, cheapers.
And then it's over. So
It is a very unique challenge, a 5K.
yeah,
I don't think many things are as horrific as that.
No.
A hard marathon is also pretty awful, but yeah, the 5K is a big mental thing, I think,
yeah,
because it's if you're doing, I don't know, what is 1644? What is that per K?
it's like 318,
318.
I think.
So let's say you're doing like 310 hypothetically, and you're going to smash your PR. Now you're 2Ks in, you got 3Ks left. So you sit, it's like 10 minutes. Like it's not a long time, but it's a long time.
It's a long,
It's a long time
10 minutes
to be in that zone of like your absolute
I remember,
max.
I think I probably said I hate running like 1,000 times the last time I did it.
Sheesh, I don't blame you. Yeah, it's really weird. Like, we can go down a rabbit hole of this as well, but how time distorts in that,
Yeah, wow.
it's crazy. But enjoy that. Better you than me. I'm glad that I'm not doing a 5K anytime soon. But yeah, what is this, by the way, that you brought?
It's kimchi and Gruberg
I've
croissant.
never had one of those. Thank you so much. Only available at Southyeaster. Please insert address right now so we can point people to Southyeaster. What's the address? Go Brode.
For the Promenade Road,
All the
Harpay.
Promenade Road, Hot Bay. Shout out. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to the show, guys. We love answering specific questions. So if there's anything you want to know, leave a comment or reach out to us directly at HorizonZA on Instagram, or email us at movement@horizongym.com. Until next time, I'm your host, Seb Prentice, and this is Beyond Physical.